Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel, The College Process. Once again, I'm Ed from Principia Prep. And once again, like I mentioned on every Friday going forward for all our videos here, any questions you guys leave on the channel, I'll be going through all the questions here. You guys leave in the comment section, answering them every Friday and putting them in video format like I'm doing here today. So if you have any questions in any of the videos we have here on the channel, please leave your questions. I will be answering them every Friday and putting all your answers on the videos here. And I'm putting all the answers for all the videos you guys leave questions for in detail here on the YouTube channel every Friday, answering your questions. That being said, and obviously here, as you know, the format is I'm going to be going through the questions here you guys leave here on the channel here. Next to the questions here is the video the person left the question on. So if you're wondering where this question came from, obviously if you're watching this video here, this is the video the question came from. So let's start here. So 7 days before. For TS1 down here, their question is it possible payments will resume in August without interest? I think I mentioned this in the last video, but I will address it once again. The answer is yes. Very likely interest payments or interest added to your federal student loans will begin again starting in August of this year, 2023 here, if the student loan forgiveness doesn't go through the federal courts and we get it all the way to the end of essentially the forbearance they put on right now. So I'm assuming yes, federal student loan interest will be put back on the federal student loans, unfortunately. Okay, let's go to the next question here. So let's go to the next question here. Hi, Ed, could you please talk about the best ways to borrow for medical school? Now, we actually think I talked about this in the last video as well, but I'll address it here as well. Right now, the best loans to take out are the state loans. So if you are in New Jersey, NJ Best is the best loan as far as interest rates are concerned. For Pennsylvania, they also have a very good interest rate as well. Other states have their own student loans as well. Not every state does, though, unfortunately. So I would be checking with your state lenders first to see if I was paying either undergrad or professional degrees, veterinarian, doctor, MBA, so on and so forth. Those things I'd very likely look for the state loans first. If the state loan doesn't work for you as far as you don't have the credit required for those, then I'd be looking at the private lenders. If not, in place of those private lenders, if the rate's too high for you guys, because the rates are now kind of creeping up because of inflation and everything else, I would be looking at essentially the federal loans or the grad plus loans. The grad plus loans are still somewhat, as far as an interest rate perspective, very competitive now, but state loans is the first place I'd be looking at. Okay, let's go to the next question here. 6 days ago here from Selena. Let's see here. I'm on the student financial part. I'm putting in my taxes info in manually because I keep getting an error. We filed married jointly, and I'm on my second question where it asks our wages. Okay, something about collection. I need someone to walk me through this. It's due Sunday. Okay. Unfortunately, hopefully you get this answer from me, but I'm not sure what your question is here. But if your question is specifically, we can't get the IRS retrieval to work, it does happen often, unfortunately. Even if you're looking at your tax return, you're doing the IRS manual, you're doing the IRS retrieval tool, you're uploading your taxes into the FAFSA from the IRS site using the parent's FSA ID. Sometimes, unfortunately, no matter what address you put in there for them to basically connect your taxes from the IRS, the transcript specifically, to send it over to the FAFSA, sometimes it just doesn't work, unfortunately. So you will have to manually put in your income numbers as far as line 11, which is your just gross income, as well as lines 1 and 8, which are your wages, specific wages, W-2 wages, as well as 1099 income, consulting, commissions, those kind of things will all have to be basically manually put in there. So if it's not working for you, unfortunately, you just got to kind of just do it manually. It's not that big of a deal in the sense that the schools will still accept your FAFSA form, whether you do it through the IRS retrieval or you do it manually. But it is, in most cases, best to do the IRS retrieval if it is possible to be sent through, because it does make your FAFSA form in the eyes of the colleges 99% correct. They will very likely, since you're doing it manually, and it's perfectly fine to do that, and sending it out to the schools, they will likely ask you for a process called verification. Well, they will at some point in time ask you to send them a copy of your transcripts, your federal return transcripts that you can get from the irs.gov site. Okay, that's more than likely going to happen for you. Since you are doing it manually, then they are giving you any kind of financial assistance as far as grant money. They will definitely very likely verify you and ask you to send your transcripts into them. Okay, go to the next question here. Let me see here from Nia here. I'm totally confused on some of the financial aid packages from the colleges. Who can best walk me through the process if there is a gap left in the cost of attendance? So I'm assuming you are looking at the school's financial aid letters, and some schools gave you a ton, some schools gave you nothing or a little bit, and they had schools in the middle that kind of didn't meet all your need, but met a decent amount of it, let's call it. Now, the way it works is unfortunately, some schools will be very generous, some schools will not be very generous. The way to figure out if the school has given you enough money, though, is doing the school's net price calculator and figuring out based on your financial situation what you have in place, income, assets, so on and so forth, as well as a student. Is the school giving you enough based on what the net price calculator for that school is showing you? Now, the net price calculator is showing they should be giving you more money as far as grants or scholarships. Then I'd be going back and looking to appeal. If it's showing you it's going to be basically the same realm, so if they, let's say, gave you $10,000 of grants and they gave you, let's say, 9,500 of grants, I'd probably let it go because it's not going to give you much more. They're probably going to say, this is what we're going to give you, that's it. But if it's a lot off, like the net price calculator is saying they're supposed to give you 10 and they only give you 3 or 4,000, then yes, I would be looking to appeal. Now, obviously, if the net price calculator says you're supposed to be getting 8,000 and they give you 10,000, then I would obviously let it go because they can also take away aid if they didn't see something the first time they ran through and did your financial aid award letter. So just kind of things to think about as you're doing or you're looking to appeal and ask for more aid consideration. Okay, so we have the next question here from Dave. If I do not have an emergency fund to show and I do not have any savings on my financial aid forms, how will that affect my need and need-based fund admissions as well as financial aid as an award as an international student? Now, when it comes to the FAFSA form, on the FAFSA form, when you guys put on your financials, as far as your checking, savings, investments, so on and so forth, that's what they're looking at to basically determine whether or not you're eligible for aid. Now, if you watch the video, like this video here, or my FAFSA videos, I indicate that they typically count your assets at a rate of 5.6%. So if you have, let's say, $100,000 in checking, savings, investments, they're going to basically say that of that 100,000 as a parent, you can pay 5.6% of that towards the cost of college. Now, if the money is in the student's name, it's a lot more heavy as far as the taxation of it. They count it typically at 20%. So the same 100,000 would count at $20,000 you guys can pay towards the cost of college. Now, if you have no checking, no savings, no investment whatsoever, there actually is no effect on as far as them saying to you, you can afford to pay any portion of your non-assets, I guess, because you have no checking, savings, investments. You have nothing being used against you essentially for financial aid being taken away or the space of financial aid being taken away. Okay. Hopefully that answers your question there. Let me go to the next question here. Let me see here. While stress off sophomore year financial aid. Thank you for watching the videos. I appreciate it. We have struggled paying off the balance each term. We have a parent who has low credit score. The other has excellent credit score. Should the low parent spouse apply for the Parent Plus loan? Good question. The way I would handle it typically is of a parent or let's say a family of two parents and one parent has a low credit score and one parent has a good credit score. What I want to do is I want to have the parent with a lower credit score apply for the Parent Plus loan and get denied. I know you're probably wondering, well, why would I want to get denied? But being denied the Parent Plus loan in many cases is actually a benefit for you guys from this perspective. If one parent gets denied the Parent Plus loan, they will increase your students' unsubsidized loans between $4,000 to $5,000. So it's automatically $4 to $5 grand extra on the unsubsidized part from the federal government being given to your student. So automatically, we're at the lower end of interest rates in the student's name with up to, in some cases, a 30-year repayment schedule. If you want, we can keep extending the schedule. So getting the unsub money in there extra is helpful. So I'm looking to do the parent with a lower credit score, apply for the Parent Plus, get denied, get the extra $4 or $5 grand added to their account. Then I'm taking the other parent and I'm having them apply to either a state loan or apply to a private loan because the other parent cannot apply for a Parent Plus loan. Well, technically you can apply for it, but you're kind of like shooting yourself in the foot because if the other parent gets accepted from the Parent Plus loan, they're going to take away the $4 or $5 grand they gave your student. That gets taken away because now you've been accepted. So you got to keep that in place by not applying to the Parent Plus loan. You go state loan or you go private loan, whoever's got the best option for you interest-wise, and go with them to cover the remaining balance of that bill for you guys. Okay, let's go to the next questions here. Next question here, what happens if I'm married? I'm not sure what you mean by what happens if you're married, but if you're filling out the FAFSA form and if you're married, both parents' financials got to go in there. So if you're remarried, that's what you're asking, then the step parents' information, their income and assets, does take the place of the biological parent if you're divorced or separated. Okay, let's go to the next question here. I'm not seeing the link for the James Russo Memorial Scholarship. Can you post it? Sure, I'll post it right here. For those who are wondering and seeing some of the parents here talking about the James Russo Memorial Scholarship, which is down here, the intro video here, the video explaining the scholarship program. Our organization here every year gives out scholarship funds to graduating senior students going off to college. So if you want to be eligible for a scholarship program, here it is. I have put it down in the description, the link for the scholarship program so you guys can watch it. I know the video talked about 21-22 academic year, but we are doing the scholarship every year going forward. I will be making a new scholarship program video for the James Russo Memorial Scholarship Program shortly when I get a little bit of time to get it out there for you guys. Okay, let's keep going here. Let's get to the next question here. Can I still apply for student loan forgiveness? Unfortunately, you cannot apply for student loan forgiveness right now. Unfortunately, at this point in time, since the Supreme Court has it in their caseload here and they're reviewing it to see the legal aspects of it, and if it can go through, they're not allowing anyone to apply for it just yet. Hopefully, it will go through, it will be accepted. And if it does go through and will be accepted, you do have until December of 2023 to sign up for it. That's what we're waiting for right now. Hopefully, it goes through because obviously it will help a lot of parents out. If you guys watch the other videos, you understand, you know, I have no student loan debt, so I have no real, I guess, horse in the game, whether it goes through or doesn't go through. But being a college advisor for 25 years and seeing what happens with this kind of thing going through and helping so many students who are just starting off life to be able to erase that kind of student loan debt to help them off to start off life, move out, buy a car, so on and so forth, start their life, start a family, etc. You obviously realize it's a big benefit for this to go through and help those people out there. This, by the way, does not go to the rich. That's complete nonsense by the media. This is just going to people that need this assistance. Okay. That being said, let's go to the next question here. Let's see here. In 2023, I will have a son and daughter in college at the same time. Do you have any advice on how to approach the financial aid office for the best financial aid packages? When it comes to financial aid packages, the whole thing, everything, by the way, and this is the whole process of college in general, always starts with the college list. And this is what I tell every family I've ever worked for, every school I've ever spoken at. The college list dictates everything that has happened and will happen. Let me explain to you what I mean by that. If you have a list of schools that are all not generous, it doesn't matter how many kids you got going to college, they're never going to be generous. But if you have a list of colleges that are generous, the more students you add, as far as the more students going off to college, the more discounts you're basically creating. So the college list dictates who will and will not be generous. And the way to find that out is very simple. Once you create your college list, your target, safety, reach schools, etc. for your student, what you need to do is do each school's net price calculator to figure out who's going to be giving us aid and who's not going to be giving us aid. And if you know that financially a school doesn't make sense because they're not giving you aid and it costs whatever the cost is, then take the school off the list because it doesn't make any sense. I've always talked about in these videos, every college is basically the same. There's very little difference between a top tier school, a middle tier school, or a bottom tier school. The reality is they all provide the same opportunities for every student out there. So why pay more for additional college costs when you don't need to? Okay, just things to think about as you go through this. But that's the way I will handle it. And last question here, 15 hours back. Can you do a video on the ISFAA video? Now, for those who are wondering, this is basically an international financial aid form. It's kind of like equivalent to the CSS profile. It's a little bit more in depth than the FAST, that's why I say it's more equivalent to the CSS. I will look into this to see if this is a video a lot of people want. And if it is, I will put it up here. Obviously, this year has been inundated with a lot of parents' questions, meetings, so on and so forth. It's been more difficult for me to put videos up this year, but I will be putting up more content for you guys out there in as far as the college process is concerned. All that being said, thank you guys for watching the video. Once again, if you like this format, me answering all your questions in more detail on video format, please leave us a like and please leave us comments here, letting us know that you like this format. I'll keep doing this every Friday going forward. And other than that, on the screen is my contact information. If you guys need help in the college process, I do one-on-one meetings with parents and students through Zoom to help them out with the college process. Very simple to get a hold of me. On the screen is my cell phone number and my email. Just shoot me a text or an email. Those are the two fastest ways to get a hold of me. And we can set up a meeting if you need help. Other than that, thank you for watching today's video.